Kind of hit you that you're taking a team that you're the head coach of into that stadium to go play the Hall of Fame game?
Yeah, it's I mean, certainly from me personally, going there is maybe a little bit different than some other people because of where I grew up. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing, family and my kids and my wife and my mom and dad and those kind of things, and that'll be great. I'm also excited to have our team. Um, we're going to go to the Hall of Fame on Wednesday, and so to be able to take them there, and we took a poll the other day, and there's a lot of them that have never been there, and they're in this fraternity, and it's a special place, and I've been through it. I can't tell you how many times, and each time I go through it, I see something different or new, or they've added to it, and there's such an element of history and tradition, and you just get excited because it's such a it's such an important part of our game, and so to be able to represent the league and our team going there and playing with Richard and Cliff going in. It's just an exciting opportunity for us, and I think our team's excited. I'm excited to see them compete, and we'll learn a lot about ourselves, I'm sure, on Thursday.
When you're in high school and the pinnacle is right there in your backyard of your sport, was that inspiring in a lot of ways?
It was fun, I played all my games in this stadium, and it just it was never lost on me that this is a special place. They have helmets on the double yellow lines, when you're driving down the road. You pass the Hall of Fame every day you go to school and high school. You're playing right there, and you can see it over the stands. It's just, like I said, it's a really cool place to grow up. It was a great place to be a young boy that loved football, and what a blessing that I have an opportunity to come back there and do it. Never would have dreamed that this would have happened.
Josh, about your family being there, do you think it'll be surreal considering that your father will be there and he coached you in that stadium and now he gets to see you coach in that stadium?
It'll be really an experience, and surreal is probably a good word for it. Thinking that, he was coaching me and correcting me and calling plays for me, many, many years ago, and my brother then played after myself, and my family has spent a lot of nights there, over many, many years. And, so it's a special place for us, and looking forward to having a special night, hopefully on Thursday.
Josh, you guys placed Kyler Fackrell on injured reserve earlier this week. What sort of loss is that, and how confident are you that the guys that you have in the building can kind of step in and have that next man up?
Yeah, any time we lose a player to injured reserve, it's a loss. But you have 90 guys on the roster that are all competing for this reason, and football is a physical game and a contact sport, and so there's going to be some of these things that happen along the way. And I think the most important thing we can do is, number one, get him back to health, and then secondly, we just we can't stop at any point in time during the course of training camp or the regular season to feel sorry for ourselves, and we don't. Our group's really competitive. Those guys have been working really hard, and we have depth at that position, and we're going to see how it plays out over the course of training camp. But guys have stepped up, and in the in some of the absences we've had already, and they have opportunities. So if somebody goes down with an injury, that certainly presents an opportunity for others, and hopefully some of those guys will take advantage of it.
At that same position, Chandler Jones and Cleve Farrell, it seems like there be some guys that are working on some things. Are you guys being more cautious with that, or kind of have concern?
The guys, I mean, if they can't, if there's something, everybody gets nicks and bruises at this point in time of the year. And so, the guys that are able to go out there and work full, will be out there, and anybody that's not, we're just trying to do everything we can to get them back to health and get them out there as soon as possible. And we have a number of guys that are working through things, which we're not unique here. The league is going through the same thing, so every team battles that, and our guys are doing a great job in the training room of getting treatment and doing everything they can to get back on the field as quickly as possible, and they'll be out there as soon as that's the case.
Some coaches approach the preseason where wins are important. Some are worried about wins and losses. What's your thought process on preseason games?
I think anytime you coach or play a football game, you're going out there to do your best, and compete, and so, certainly, there's an element of wanting to win every time you step on the field, and we're going to be ready to go out there and play and compete when we have our opportunities. There's a few times where somebody will play the entire length of a preseason game, so this is important for us to find out about our depth and evaluate ourselves against another team that we don't know, that we haven't seen in practice. We'll see some schemes or some alignments that, we haven't seen yet, and it'll test us. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to find out a lot about our football team. And each preseason game will give us that opportunity, and we'll take full advantage of all 4 that we have this year.
Do you have a hard, fast kind of philosophy on playing your starters in preseason, or is it kind of predicated on things that you want to see in practice?
Yeah, I mean, we'll try to make the decisions that we think are best for the team in terms of what we need to do and get accomplished. But we're all working and we're all ready to play, and we're all going to be ready to go. And none of us have coached or played in a long time, and so this is not something where you just jump back on and it's easy and it takes 5 minutes to get reacclimated to calling plays or getting in the huddle or playing third down defense or whatever against real time, real speed opponents. So there's a lot to be gained for us. Like I said, each guy's going to get ready to play, and we'll try to do it the right way based on what we feel like we need to get done each preseason game.
When you make those decisions about playing time for this game, how much does having the extra game factor into that decision-making process?
I think all of it goes into it. We have a little extra time at training camp. We have 4 preseason games. We have a couple competitive practices down the road with another team. So that, you try to make, decisions based on the whole body of work that you're going to be able to put together. So we've talked about a lot of those things, and we know that there's some opportunities that are going to present themselves to further evaluate our team. So we'll take good stock of where we're at from the health perspective, and then what we need to see relative to the competition on our roster, which is significant, and try to do it that way on Thursday night to start.
Coach, what was in your take on the guardian caps that the players have been wearing on the positional groups? Have they been effective, do you think, or?
It's hard for me to say, whether we would have or wouldn't have had any kind of a head issue at this point in time. All the science says that it's a good thing for us to have and for us to wear, limiting the residual effects, to the brain and those types of things. So our players have been great in terms of doing it the way that the league wants us to do it. And there's nothing more important than the health of the team and the safety of the players. So, I'm all for anything that would protect them, short term and long term. And based on what we've been told, from the doctors and the scientists, those people that have studied that, this is an effective way to try to minimize that. So, we're going to do everything we can do to follow the letter of the law on that. And, like I said, it's a little different, playing with it, because you don't necessarily have a lot of snaps playing with it before now. So our guys needed to get acclimated to it. But generally speaking, I think they've had a great attitude about it, and we haven't had any issues.
The Jaguars being a team that you actually play this season, does that change at all how you kind of prepare going into the season?
Not really. I mean, there's such a time gap between, when we play them and this game coming up that it's, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then. I don't think you're going to see any triple reverses or, all those kind of things in this game on Thursday night. So, not that we're going to run that either in December or November whenever we play them, but I just don't think there's an element of fundamentals and there's an element of evaluating your players' ability to use their techniques and play within the scheme and communicate with each other that I think is the most important. I've had many discussions like that over many years about what we should or shouldn't do or what's too much or not enough to show. I think it's important for us to go out there and let the players play and be aggressive, and so hopefully they're going to know every call we're going to make in every phase and go out there and do their job, and we're going to see, who can block and who can tackle and who can cover and who can get open, So it'll be effective for us, even if the scheme is minimized some.
Josh, Trayvon Mullen, Bilal Nichols, and Jonathan Hankins, is there a level of positivity that they're gonna be able to get on the field here in training camp and get out there?
Yeah, I'm positive about everybody. And I think, like I said, they're all working really hard. And, it'll be exciting, obviously, when some of these guys come back. And, as soon as that's the case, they'll be out there and, hopefully reintegrate, to our group. And I know this, they're studying hard. They're involved in everything we're doing. And when they're ready to practice, they'll rejoin us.
What are your early takeaways on the cornerbacks you brought in, Averett, Yassin, and Phillips?
Very competitive, mature, smart. They certainly have added an element of toughness and competition to our group, which is great. It's what we wanted to do in every room. And right now, they're doing anything and everything, that they can to earn opportunities and more opportunities. So I think that group's been very competitive in practice. We've had some back and forth with the receivers. Some days the receivers may get the better of them. Some days they don't, And so the competition across the ball and at that position has been good, and I think we've enhanced it with those guys.
Is Yassin a guy you've seen improve over the years, a guy you've seen the forward kind of slant up?
Yeah, I've played against most of these guys. Honestly, I've coached against most of them, and Rock certainly coming in as a young guy, and then growing, and he's competitive. He'll tackle, he can cover. There's like I said, there's an element of toughness to all those guys, and they've improved the competition, and eager to see those guys continue to compete and then see how it unfolds. But I think they're all making one another better right now, which is a good thing for our team.
It's early in camp so far, but what have you thought of the competition along the offensive line? Has anybody stood out to you yet?
There's been some, like normal, there's some good and some bad. I think anytime you have an opportunity to get into pads, what happens is there's going to be some things on the very first day that are sloppy, which we saw that the other day, and then the second day was better. And now we've had, a day off and a shells day, and now we're going to come back into them today. So I know those guys really are eager to take the opportunities that we have in full pads to try to work on those things because, you just can't simulate that. So a third padded day, we're going to learn more about ourselves today than we have in the first couple of days. There's definitely some things we can improve. But as a whole, I think both sides of the ball are trying to do the right things. We're just not there yet in terms of being able to do it over and over and over again consistently, which is not unique to this year. That's generally the case. They haven't been in pads in months, and now we've had 2 days. So we didn't expect it to look perfect at this point, and we're just going to kind of try to use these days that we have today and tomorrow to build on this. So hopefully we can improve those things and make them more consistent.
You talked about Hank and Nichols, and they're trying to get back on the field and be back in that group. The depth that you have at defensive tackle, where are you guys at now? Are you comfortable with kind of how that group looks right now?
Yeah, like I said, they're competing. We don't have everybody out there yet. So, the guys that have been out there have had great opportunities now, and they're competing hard with one another. We're asking them to play a few different roles inside, and so they're just grinding away. They go over there and they're far away from you guys in their little corner over there in the jungle gym, and they're working on all their pad level and their technique and those types of things. But it's a grind for those guys too. Playing a run, playing double teams, pass rushing, and they're trying to, again, get back into form relative to using their techniques, playing with their hands, getting off blockers, those kind of things. So, it's a process on both sides of the line. This is definitely, a third day in pads helps us, try to take a step forward.
Zamir, why he returned back to practice this week? What have you seen from him in training camp so far that you like, and do you think he'll be ready for the preseason game Thursday?
Yeah, love his attitude. Works really hard when he's on the field. Very coachable. He's a great kid. And so, just eager to see us try to string together some days, and hopefully we can do that. He was out there yesterday and doing some things both in the kicking game and offensively. So. Hopefully, like I said, everybody's getting ready to play Thursday night, and all the guys that are able will do that, and hopefully Zamir will be in that category.
You guys all set? Okay.
Good to go. See you in Canton.